Hi there friends, Chaplain Aaron Bell here. I'd like to talk to you today about chapter 3 from Karl Marlantes' book, What It Is Like to Go to War, where he details his experience with post-traumatic stress following his combat tour as an infantry officer in the Vietnam War. In the chapter on guilt, which is chapter 3, he talks about different ways that Marines, or combatants in general, over modern times and in the past, have dealt with the issue of killing your fellow man. He obviously, from his time in the Vietnam War, he had to kill other people, and there was some latent guilt with that fed into his post-traumatic stress and made it difficult for him to cope with that. So we're going to talk about some different ways that he describes people today can get over their guilt in dealing with post-traumatic stress. The first thing that he talks about with guilt, actually, it comes from this old Hindu holy writing called the Bhagavad Gita. And it's a story he shares of a conversation between this human warrior whose name is Arjad, who has a bow and arrow, and he's riding into combat on a chariot. And then the person he's talking to, his charioteer, is actually the Hindu god Krishna. And the Hindu god is actually riding or driving the chariot, going into battle, and Arjad, the human warrior, he's sighting up with his bow to get ready to shoot when he sees among the faces of the enemy his own close kin, his own family members. And suddenly he's like, I don't know that I want to shoot these people. I mean, I love these people. What possible reason could I have to kill my fellow man? What could be, how could it be worth it to just control some area of land for such a short time that I'm gonna kill like my brothers or my fathers or my sons, my cousins, you know, all of these people that I care for a lot. And Krishna comes up with a number of interesting answers. First of all, he appeals to Arjad's reason, you know, like that's just, you're in combat, it's a logical thing to do right now. That doesn't really work. Next, he tries to appeal to his emotions to get him to kill the enemy. That doesn't work. Next, Krishna insults Arjad's manhood. He says, you know, and this is a approach that's taken in many combat units today. You know, come on, be a man. You know, take him out. So that doesn't work. Next, Krishna tries to appeal to the Hindu religion. This whole idea of reincarnation, saying that, you know, basically, even if you kill these people, they're not going to be dead, right? They're going to come back again. And Marlantes actually has a pretty funny side comment about how Arjad didn't find the whole concept of the universe being one giant recycling program. He didn't find that very comforting. So Krishna's appeal to religion also didn't work. So what does he do? Finally, Krishna simply says to Arjad, look, you're in the presence of evil right now, and you need to take action. It is wrong to be in the presence of, you know, other people seeking to do harm and just to let it happen. And with that in mind, Arjad finally does take action and, you know, shoot and kill the enemy. Marlantes found that discussion helpful in his own guilt in dealing with post-traumatic stress. Simply saying that, you know, he was in the presence of evil and he was doing his best to kill it, even if it meant killing a fellow human being. So he shares that. I thought that was an interesting discussion. One thing with this whole discussion on, you know, appealing to deities in justifying war and killing and violence, Marlantes does make this side comment that more polytheistic religions were better at, you know, having a war god, a god devoted to promoting life. And I would just add that monotheistic religions such as, you know, Christianity, Judaism, they also can account for, you know, a god of war. Just for example, from my own faith, from the Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod faith, we believe in the Bible, right? So if you look throughout a lot of the Old Testament, there is a lot of war that happens. And I think sometimes Christian churches today will forget that. We get lost in this idea of turn the other cheek, or, you know, this misguided thinking that, you know, you can't be Christian, if you violate the commandment, you shall not kill. And that's just not, I would say that's not a correct understanding of, the message of the Bible. I mean, if you read, Ezra or Nehemiah, Joshua, Judges, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, a lot of the Old Testament deals with situations where evil happens and God sends people to go kill the people that are doing it in order to stop it. So I would just add that one correction to Karl Marlantes in talking about how, the polytheistic religions were better at dealing with, this issue of going to war than monotheism. I would say monotheism also has the resources to deal with that as well. One other interesting point that Marlantes makes, which I think is very helpful, is the two different reasons that he gives for taking human life, or rather two different categories of reasons, because there's a lot of different reasons that people have for killing other people, right? Especially in battle. But he puts them in two different categories: personal and transpersonal reasons. So a personal reason, that is something like based on your emotions. You are mad at this person because they did something to you, or you are getting revenge because they did this to you, or maybe you went into combat because you were trying to advance, get higher ratings, and maybe be more promotable in the future. Those are all very personal reasons, which Marlantes says may come back to haunt you in terms of post-traumatic stress and guilt over the people that you killed, just because you're trying to balance these personal finite reasons against human life. That can be pretty hard to do. On the other hand, transpersonal reasons, so someone who joins the military because it's a family tradition, they're honoring their ancestors. They maybe they believe that capitalism is right, communism is wrong. They believe a certain dictator is evil and needs to be removed, or maybe they believe that God is a God of order and He has established the governments of the world to punish evil, and that the military is the edge of the sword that God uses to punish evil, and as a military service member, they are basically the wrath of God, God's judgment against the evildoer. Those are all transpersonal reasons for taking human life. And Marlantes argues that having a transpersonal rather than a personal reason can help a person better cope with the trauma or stress or guilt of dealing with having taken human life in the past. So that discussion between Arjad and Krishna, that item he mentions about polytheistic versus monotheistic religions, and then the personal versus transpersonal reasons for killing, I found those all very helpful in this chapter, and I hope you did too. Thank you, and Chaplain Bell signing out.